But I am so excited to have my friend George Robertson-Burnett with us today from the sunny state of Florida. George invited me to speak at Florida Pets several years ago, and he and I have had a wonderful friendship ever since then. And that was really one of the most exciting times for me to visit with them and to meet 600 of their incoming officers down there and be a part of that. But George speaks all over. And when we talk about here, Southern Fried Rotary, he's from the south of Scotland, I think. So he doesn't talk like me at all, but he does have a very distinctive accent that I think you all will enjoy. He serves as a Rotary Coordinator for his zone and shares wonderful programs. He was just featured in the Rotarian magazine last month, which is very exciting. And today he's going to share some really interesting ideas with us that we can utilize in our clubs and in our communities. Thank you for being here, George.
Yeah, thank you so much, Tiffany. I really appreciate the invite. It was great to hear from you and Billy the other day, and I'm absolutely delighted to be here. And I'll be very brief, of course, because if you've got a good program that you feel like you need to record, then I need to get off and let them get on here. This is me, as most people see me, but it's not how I see myself. That's not how I see myself at all. This is how I see myself. I see myself as that Scottish marauder. Perhaps a little bit more like that. Okay, so that's how I see myself. I come from Scotland, and of course, I love those connections to Braveheart. And being Scottish, of course, I do like to imbibe an adult beverage. It's something of a national trait that we have. So I just wanted to share with you right out of the bat some exciting news that as of today, I am 71 days without an adult beverage. Isn't that amazing? 71 days for a Scotsman. Now, just for clarity, I just want to point out that those days are not consecutive. They are actually my cumulative total for the whole of my life, and I have absolutely no intentions of adding to that total anytime soon. So there we have it. So this is where I come from, and actually you'll see Aberdeen in the northeast corner of Scotland, and that is exactly where I come from. I was born and bred in Aberdeen. A little bit of a history lesson here. You see that border between England in the south and Scotland in the north. That border was first created in 50 BC when the Romans invaded our island and worked their way up through England, defeating the English, which is no big deal. Even the Scots have done that when they're outnumbered 10-1. However, they got to this, what is now the border, and they see these blue-faced people, and they thought, not so keen on going up there. So they stopped there. And for many, many years, they had that as their border. But unfortunately, they would come over and steal our sheep from time to time. And, you know, the big clan, the MacDonalds, had a chief called Donald. And, you know, Donald said, you know, this is not fair, them coming over and stealing our sheep. So what we're going to do is we're going to build a wall, and we're going to get the Romans to pay for it. And that's exactly what happened. We got Hadrian's Wall between England and Scotland to this day. And I make no further comment. It's not a political comment, but there you go. There's nothing new. That's how we got Hadrian's Wall. And you can still go and see that fine wall today. So I arrived in the United States in 2004. Came here on a visa, and that is my family that I brought with me. On my left is my daughter, Philippa, which is shortened to Pippa. And on my right, as I look at it, is my wife. And I know what you're thinking, but I married her for her money. So there's the explanation. So that's my family. We arrived here in 2004. And for those who remember 2004, you know, I have to say, I had some cultural challenges when I first came here. Because life is a little bit different. What they say, we're two nations divided by the same language. I don't know if you know that Walgreens is actually based on, was founded by somebody who loved Rotary with an absolute intensity. And they used to have a sign at the back of their store with a 4-way test on it. You don't see it so much these days. But what I can't figure out about Walgreens is, if you're a smoker or chew baccy, you actually just go to the front of the store and get it. But if you're sick, guess what? You have to walk all the way to the back. Why do you do that? That's so unfair. It should be the opposite way around. The fit folks should be walking to the back, And the sick folks should be served at the front. I've never understood that with and CVS do exactly the same. Very, very weird. Another cultural challenge I find. Do you know this stuff? I mean, if you've ever been to England, you know if you ever ask for ice, they'll say, do you want one lump or two? Because we lost the recipe, so it's fairly rare in the United Kingdom. Here, you go into Chick-fil-A and you ask for a Coke, and what do you get? You get a bucket of ice and a smidgen of Coca-Cola. I don't think that's the right way around, and to a Scotsman, that's really kind of tough, you know? So how about this? So you go to your bank, you have drive-thrus here. We don't have a lot of drive-thrus in the United Kingdom because we're challenged space-wise. But you go up to this teller and you look down, and what do you see? You see that the instructions are there in Braille. How the heck do they think you got there? I mean, you've driven there, so why would they put a Braille instruction? I really don't understand that. That is political correctness gone crazy. And as for this stuff, it's called petrol, by the way. You call it gas. Now, I have seen it, and I can attest to the fact it is not a gas, it's a liquid, and therefore why it's called gas, I have absolutely no idea. So those are a few of the cultural challenges I've found along the way when I came to this wonderful, wonderful country. And I will say that in 2015, I was very, very proud to become an American citizen along with my whole family. So we are delighted that we are now fully American citizens, but they didn't give me the American accent. I mean, I looked in the package they gave me a certificate, some instructions, but no accent. There wasn't an accent in there. So I've still got to deal with the one that I've got. Having come here in 2004, you may remember that was a terrible year for hurricanes. I could not believe the amount of hurricanes we had that went through Florida. I thought, my goodness me, we don't have good weather in Scotland, but we've got absolutely nothing that will kill you. Here you do. I mean, it's really, really tough. And I thought, what did I come here for? But you know what? There was a great thing happened to me that year also. And it was this lady. Now you'll see that this lady is not my wife. But this is another lady that changed my life. Because this is the lady that said, would you like to come to lunch? And for everybody on this call, you know that's another way of saying, would you like to join Rotary? And actually, she insisted that I come to lunch at the Rotary Club of Bartow. I put up a fight initially because I said to her, well, when do you meet? And she said, well, we meet on a Wednesday at lunchtime. Well, my perception of Rotary was, because I come from Scotland, basically that it would be in the poshest hotel in town. It would be in the evening. You would walk in, have adult beverages, and stagger out. So I thought, Wednesday lunchtime, I do not want to write off the rest of Wednesday. So I put up a resistance, but she insisted and took me up there. I had a little bit of a surprise when I got there. I walked in and there was no bar. And I thought, strange Rotary Club, no bar. However, they had this strange liquid. I took one taste of it and I've never drunk it again. Iced tea is not a thing in the United Kingdom, may I say. We don't do that. We have hot tea with milk and sugar, and it's a beautiful drink. That was the only time I ever had iced tea. I can only imagine that you invented it when you threw the tea into Boston Harbor. Great protest, but sucks as a drink in my book. So I've never drunk that again. This, if you see me in a bar, this is 2 fingers of scotch, by the way. It's not the way that you have it. You're short measuring everybody. That is 2 fingers of scotch. Please remember. So let me move on. Hey, 2004, introduction, Rotary Club of Bartow. Knew nobody in the United States when I walked through that door. Immediately got 72 friends. Isn't that the most fabulous thing about Rotary? Got 72 friends from then, and most of them that are still with us are still friends. You know, it's absolutely great. That's the great thing about Rotary. And you know, I threw myself into Rotary, and by 2008, they decided to make me the president, despite the fact that they really couldn't understand a lot of what I said, but they still wanted to make me president. So off I would go to Pets. And as Isaac will attest, and Tiffany, I've been going there ever since. I think they keep making me repeat in the hope that once I'll get it right. However, in those days in 2008, they used to take your picture when you arrived. So I thought I'd let you see my picture from 2008. Yep, there I am. I was the deer in the headlights. I went in there like, you know, like the innocent abroad. I knew my club, but did I know about wider Rotary? Absolutely not. And boy, oh boy, once I had been to Pets, I just, the intensity of my devotion to this Rotary just started there and then. I think I walked in there in Rotary and I walked out a Rotarian. Absolutely fabulous. And I went back to my club and I said, you know, we've got to do something for polio. It was very important to me. We had nothing in the budget. So I said, you know what we're going to do? We're going to save our loose change. We call it shrapnel in the UK. But we save our loose change for 3 months, put it in a jar, take it into the club, tot it up and send it off to Polio Plus. So after 3 months, we took the money in and we totted it up, $3,800 in loose change to go to Polio Plus. And the person that totted it up said, you know, our president, as in moi, she said, our president had the most coins, but he also had the least money. And I wait a minute, how can that be? And she said, there was not 1/4 in your dish. Now, I know that Scots are known for having short arms and deep pockets, but I can assure you, I was not sifting out these quarters. However, may I reintroduce my daughter, Pippa. She was 8 at the time, and she liked those large, shiny coins. And as fast as they were going in there, she was taking them out, and they were all at home in her bedroom. I actually went home that day and said, Pippa, you caused me great embarrassment at Rotary today. And I explained to her that it only took 2 of those coins, as it did back in 2008, 2 of those coins to save a child from a terrible disease. And you know, at the end of the week, when I gave her her $10 pocket money, she gave me it right back and said, Dad, could you please save 20 children with my pocket money? I sent that $10 off to the foundation. It sits there to this day, reminding me it's not always how much you give, it's the heart you give it with. And she is now a Paul Harris Fellow, and this is a picture of her now, not when she was 8, as you can see. So that was my Pippa story about polio. You know, after having been president, for some reason, the district decided in 2013 that they would allow me to be district governor, despite the fact that they also didn't know a word that I said. But however, I was absolutely delighted to accept the post of district governor for District 6890. The year of the best motto, the best theme ever. Sorry, Tiffany, sorry, all past district governors, all future district governors. They'll never be as good as Engage Rotary, Change Lives. Because as we know, when we engage Rotary, the first life we change is our own, and then we go on to change so many others. Absolutely fabulous. Sorry we got the best, but I think we deserved it. It's just one of these things, you know. After that, I actually was appointed an assistant Rotary coordinator and then appointed the Rotary coordinator. And for those who don't know what a Rotary coordinator is, don't be embarrassed, neither did I. Anyway, the Rotary coordinator does everything other than foundation and public image, so our predominance is in membership, and we cover an area. And this is my area, Georgia, Florida, and the Caribbean, and 3 countries in South America. Yep, sucks to be me. What a great area to actually work in. I have nearly 800 Rotary clubs, and so you can imagine, I do a lot of talking, and hopefully, as you can tell, I'm a very shy sort of person, doesn't like talking much, but I get through. So that is me as Rotary coordinator, and I have another year to do as that, and loving every minute. I'm often asked what makes a great Rotary club, you know, and I always think of Cheers, you know, where everybody knows your name and everybody's glad you came. It's so indicative. I mean, our fellowship is just so very, very important. And of course, it's been challenged. We've had to be very adaptable because particularly during this coronavirus, it's been really, really tough for us to actually cope. You know, we've had to stay at home, and that's just an anathema to Rotary, to actually have to stay at home. And for all of us that have got jobs to do, it's not just staying at home, but we have to do our work from home. And you know, it's amazing that we can actually work from home. We have you know, these screens. It's almost like a cross between Hollywood Squares and Honey, I Shrunk the Rotarians. When you actually look at the screens, you know, but it's great the way that we've actually been adaptable. And again, thank you, Tiffany, for inviting me to actually speak to you here today. We are people of action. That's absolutely what we do. And therefore, our adaptability should be of no surprise to us. You know, I love to tell the story of one year we were actually going on a cruise down to Cozumel. I was the conference chair for a 2-district cruise, and we decided that we were going to take down all sorts of supplies for an orphanage down there called Ciudad de Angeles. And we filled a cabin on this ship with clothing, with medical supplies, with electronic, you name it, we had it. And we had a cabin full. Unfortunately, on the way sailing down there, somebody mentioned it in the bar, and it wasn't me. I may have been in the bar, but it wasn't me that said. But anyway, the barman told the purser calls me to his office and says, you can't land that stuff because that's smuggling. You're going to a foreign country. You can't land stuff. And I explained the circumstance. He says, I'm sorry, we can't risk it. You can't do it. So I asked if I could speak to the customs officer when he came on board. And after he cleared the ship, the customs officer from Mexico, of course, and myself sat down and both in our broken English tried to negotiate some kind of deal. After a little while, he agreed that each Rotarian could take off one piece and take it to the coach that was waiting. Now, I don't know how many of you have been to Cozumel, but you will know that it's a 2-mile round trip from the ship to landside. And we would take this one piece. Unfortunately, by the time we negotiated this, half of the Rotarians were in senior frogs, by the way. And so we were a depleted army by this time. But we, undaunted, we picked up one piece, walked the mile to get landside, put it on the coach, took one look and said, no, that won't do. So we went back on the basis that they wouldn't remember who had taken off a piece, and we took off a second piece. And then we took off another and another. We spent the whole day. Not only that, the Rotarians that gone to senior frogs, they came back and they also, but it was actually 4 miles round trip for them because they were staggering a bit. However, we actually, not only that, but the passengers on the ship also helped. It was an amazing exercise in showing people of action. We got absolutely everything off of that ship that day. And I think I lost 8 pounds in weight, never put it on again, which is great. And we really proved that Rotarians are people of action, as I say. On the way back to the ship, the customs officer came out of his office and says, excuse me, can I have a word with you? And I thought, uh-oh, I could be in trouble here. And he said, are you lot quite finished? And by saying that, he wanted to let us know he knew what we were doing and he knew the purpose that we had. And I'm not too sure that when he said we could take off one piece, that he didn't already know that Rotarians would do exactly what we did do. But we got everything off that ship. Royal Caribbean made an announcement on the ship that night. And if you wore your Rotary pin, you never bought another drink. People were always buying you drink. If they'd had a poll between Mother Teresa and Rotary, we would have won because everybody thought we'd done a fabulous job. And guess what? We had. We'd done an absolutely fabulous job. And I think that's a great, indication of what Rotarians are capable of. I don't know if you know this gentleman, but this gentleman was a very staunch Rotarian. Very staunch Rotarian indeed. He was in the Rotary Club of London. And because of he's had many pronouncements, I wanted to share with you some of his comments as a guide for how to run a Rotary Club. First, tact is a way of telling someone to go to hell in such a way as they're looking forward to the journey. I love that saying. I mean, it is so great, which is always to remind us to respect others' point of view. How about success consists of going from failure to failure without losing enthusiasm? We can all equate. We know that. Set your goals, be flexible, and soldier on. That's absolutely what we need to do. And now, before I actually reveal this, I will say that Winston Churchill was half American. I don't know if you're aware of that, but his mother was American. She was not British. And therefore, he was entitled to say this. Americans will always do the right thing, but only after having tried all the alternatives. And that is to remind us to not be afraid to try new things. So how about a very unpopular colleague of his said, Winston, can I borrow tuppence to phone a friend? His immediate response was, here's 4pence, why don't you phone both of them? Which I think is a fact. I have used that so often. I love that. Yeah. So use your resources wisely. My absolute favorite was Nancy Astor said to Winston, if you were my husband, I'd poison your tea. He immediately came back and said, Nancy, if you were my wife, I'd drink it. And that is probably one of his most famous sayings, and I absolutely love it. And it reminds us in Rotary never to ever lose our sense of humor. And I'm sure in your district you've had a lot of fun this year, because I'm sure Tiffany would make it compulsory. So it's great that we should never lose our sense of humor. This, I think, sums up in all seriousness how serious he was about being a Rotarian. He said, we make a living by what we get, but we make a life by what we give. And that is the great Winston Churchill. Just want to leave you with one last small snippet and story from my travels in my own zone. Obviously, I go to Rotary clubs in various places. I was out in the British Virgin Islands in Tortola, and on my way back, I had to go through Puerto Rico, change planes. When I went to the desk to get my boarding pass, the lady said, noticed that I was wearing a pin. And she said, "Oh, you're in Rotary." And I said, "Yes, I am." She said, "You know what? I'm going to upgrade you." I think you're all thinking, I must wear my pin when I go to the airport next time. But anyway, it was great. You know, I got the big seat, the free drinks all the way to Orlando, and I thought that was fabulous. But that's not my reason for telling you the story. The reason for telling you the story is the 4 words she said to me as I was walking away from the desk have rung in my ears ever since, and have actually been it's such a pleasure for me to actually recount to so many of you, because as I was walking away from the desk, she said, "You Rotarians are awesome." And guess what? You are. And it is great to belong to this organization. Thank you for being part of the most wonderful organization in the world. Thank you for being awesome. And thank you for inviting me to talk to you today. It's been a great pleasure. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you.
I know that you've been doing a lot of programs, and of course you were featured in the Rotarian this past month, talking about how to engage people during this pandemic and how to make your online meetings more enjoyable. Is there anything you want to add about that folks might find useful right now as well?
Absolutely, and you know that we are actually only limited by our ingenuity, and I always feel that in Rotary we're only limited by that thought process. You know, I've seen cooking, the fact that we're in our home, we're in a different environment, we look on it as an opportunity rather than just saying, well, we'll do things the way we've always done them. We're doing them a lot different in so many ways. I've seen cooking demonstrations, which have been absolute fun. I see a lot of social occasions. I'm not so keen on those because I like social occasions, but the fact that you have to provide your own drinks and your own nibbles, Scots are not too happy with that. You may have noticed there was a coconut on one of those slides back there. Do you know why that coconut's there? It's to remind me, and I saved it to the end. It said, remind me to ask you, what is the difference between a coconut and a Scotsman? You can get a drink out of a coconut. Good luck with trying to get one out of a Scotsman. So anyway, you know, there's these social occasions which are absolutely fabulous, you know, you know, getting outside that I've seen Rotary pets. Not president-elect training, but bringing your pet to Rotary because it's in your own house, and that is an absolute hoot. I mean, we've seen the most weird animals brought up to the screen, and some of them are a bit reluctant, which makes it even funnier. You know, I have to tell you that there was one chap, he decided to have a social, and he said, we're going to have a Zoom meeting. Now, and he sent out this by email. While he was having a Zoom, he's looking out his front window and he saw this car kept going past and he recognized it as one of his fellow Rotarians. So he went out and he said, "What are you doing?" He said, "Isn't this a Zoom meeting? Don't we Zoom past your house and wave and shout and happy birthday? Isn't that what we do?" So sometimes you have to explain what a Zoom meeting is to some of our members. I make no reference to age or anything else, just to say sometimes we have to explain what we mean. But there are some great ideas out there. I've seen the food drive where you actually have put supplies at your front door and somebody comes around and picks them up and takes them to the food center. There's no end of ideas, as I say, and I've been witness to so many great ideas. And sometimes the fun that you have. I was on one meeting and they said, go to your pantry and look for the most out-of-date item. You would not believe what people have in their pantries and how old that some of this stuff is, but it's so much fun. And so rather than looking on this as an imposition, we look on it as a great opportunity to have even more fun together. Yeah, we look forward to getting back and being able to, I hope we can get back to the days when we can hug and shake hands and do all that. I don't know if that's coming, but we do much look forward to that. But making the best of what we have now is what we need to do in Rotary. And I think that we've done a sterling job.
Everyone on this call probably got a little nervous when George said 4 words, because in our district, there are 4 dangerous words. And that's when Tiffany says, I have an idea. And I think the next 4 most dangerous words are when I say, there's plenty of time. So I actually was working on my speech for my farewell, if you will, in 2.5 weeks when David takes over. And the title of my speech is 4 little words. So it's really made an impact. So George, I appreciate you sharing those 4 words, because Rotarians are awesome, and it's nice to be reminded of that. And I'm always happy to hear when people hear that from outsiders. That means we're doing something right.
Yep, perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Does anybody have questions for George? You guys are quiet today.
George, are you fully caught up on your on the Outlander series? Did you check that out?
Yeah, I do know Outlander, and I don't think I'm absolutely fully up to date. I was getting there, but the last series I have not caught up on.
Mm-hmm. Well, I was just wondering if you are one of these going through the stones travelers. Should I?
Yeah.
Thank you, George.
You're so welcome.
We had hoped to have George here in our district last summer, maybe it was last May, maybe, for one of our district assemblies, and have him speak. And he went and had this heart attack or something. I don't know. Just some people will do anything to get out of coming and visiting me. I don't know why that is, but we are glad that he is healthy and well, and still just an amazing inspiration to all of us. So George, thank you so much for being here today.
You're most welcome.
All right.